From nationwide coverage to live high school sports to the great outdoors and so much more, we've got something for you. We're a local wireless carrier right here in Oklahoma. We work for your town, in your town. But great cell phone signal in rural areas is just scratching the surface. We also broadcast live events from all over eastern Oklahoma. High school football, basketball, baseball, dirt track races, livestock shows, and community events. Everything to keep you connected in your community. We're also producing original shows like Connect Outdoors and Cooking Wild that shines a light on real Oklahoman experiences. You can find us at bravadowireless.com, or you can search for us on Facebook or YouTube. You can even find us on the Oklahoma Sports Network. You can download their app straight to your phone, Apple TV, Smart TV, or Roku. We don't just create for Oklahoma, we are Oklahoma. We're Bravado Wireless, Oklahoma's service provider.
Whether your roads are dirt, paved, or if you're blazing new trails, the roads we travel lead to all of our most cherished places and people. Bravado Wireless strives to keep you connected wherever the roads may take you. We are the Whether your roads are dirt, paved, or if you're blazing new trails, the roads we travel lead to all of our most cherished places and people. Bravado Wireless strives to keep you connected wherever the roads may take you. We are the leader in wireless mobility and connection in Oklahoma and across the nation. We carry some of the market's top cell phone brands, fast, reliable home internet, and even greater customer service. Locally owned and operated right here in eastern Oklahoma. So whatever roads you travel, Bravado Wireless has them covered. From beginning to end. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection. Planning a weekend away in your camper? Take your Bravado Wireless home internet with you. Right now, our most popular internet plan has been chopped. While other internet providers are stuck at home with all of those wires and your obnoxious neighbor, Hank, you are free to take your wireless router to your home away from home. Visit us at bravadowireless.com to find a store near you. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
Get treated like a neighbor, not a number. With the best price on home internet and mobile service from your friendly local provider. Make the switch and save.
Other wireless companies need 4-page brochures to explain plans that are too complicated and cost way too much. We are not like the others. We are Bravado Wireless. We offer one line of unlimited talk, text, and 4G LTE data for only $40 per month, with no minimum number of lines and no hidden fees. This is your year to be bold, connect fast at the best price. We live where you live, and we are proud to be a part of your community here in eastern Oklahoma. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
If you haven't heard, we're moving to 5G and shutting down our 3G network. But don't worry, this is a good thing. What you can expect out of this conversion: less dropped calls, crystal clear calls, faster data, and voice and data simultaneously. Unfortunately, some older phones will need to be upgraded to a newer device capable of an eSIM.
Moved to Thursday with 217 sheep exhibited. This afternoon, 161 heifers. We're down to the final 44 head of livestock, and it'll be 44 steers for a grand total of 1,246 animals. Give them all a great big round of applause. I'd say a great big thank you to St. Francis Health System for sponsoring this year's Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. You know, who are spread around this great country, protecting our freedom so we can gather here tonight in safety. If you would at this time, rise, gentlemen, if you would, remove cover, and Mr. Logan McKinney from the Cohen FFA is going to lead us in a word of prayer.
All right, Milan. All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for the food and famine, everything you've done for us. God, I thank you for the rain. God, I ask you to be with every exhibitor here today. I ask you to be with the parents, the fitters, the cattle, everybody. God, I ask you to just put a special hand over them. God, I ask you to be with the men and women overseas fighting for us to be here today. I ask you to just put a special healing hand over them and their family. Can you please just keep everybody safe? And in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Old Glory is displayed in the rafters here in our show facility at this time. We'll have the playing of our national anthem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, no better way to start off a Friday night. 44 steers, Class 1 steers, making their way into the holding area. Yes, sir, there he is, Mr. King. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 161 heifers have been evaluated here today. The same young man from Gordon, Nebraska that's been here with us all day long. If you would, please put your hands together for Mr. Jake Scott. Class 1 steers, entering the show ring at this time. Class 1 steers, Class 2 steers. You need to be in the holding area. Class 1 steers, entering the show ring at this time. Weight class 1,000 to 1,070. Also, I'd like to say a great big thank you to Mr. Von Miller and your beef superintendent, who has done an outstanding job today in his inaugural trip to the Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. If you would, put your hands together for all of our superintendents, assistant superintendents, Mr. Billy Holcomb. Thank you, Mr. Holcomb. Class 2 steers, you need to be in the holding area. Class 2 steers, you need to be in the holding area.
lightweight steers here bring us a top pair, and I want you to pull the black steer out here in the middle. The black steer and the white steer, the two bigger frame, longer sided, I think just more practically designed kind of calves. There's more growth, there's more feeding performance in them, there's more length of body. This is one of the sound structured steers that we have in the class that I like better at the ground, especially compared to the steer in second in terms of the way he handles his feet and legs. Steer's muscular in terms of having some top shape and some muscle thickness, especially up at the top part of his hip. Is he the thickest steer in class? No, he's not. But when you talk about sheer amount of product, that steer's extra size and extra length adds to him a lot of product. I like his type and kind much better than others that are found in the class, and I think he's well on his way to being market ready, certainly with a little bit of extra time. The white steer that comes second, a steer that's a lot like him in terms of his size and his growth. He's a taller fronted, longer sided steer than is the one that places third, and he's one of the real good bone steers in the class in terms of having some stoutness of leg. You see the same things I do. He needs to be better in his rump structure. He needs to stand better on those rear legs. But again, from a type and kind standpoint, from having growth, length, performance, he's one that fits me much, much better than the steer that comes third. There's no doubt that the steer in third is the thick-butted steer in the class, and he's also the best handling steer in the class. Why in the world does he go third? That steer's just too compact for me, too low to the ground, too short-sided, just not enough length from that last rib back for, I think, what the world really needs right now. So a steer that I appreciate for his thickness and his market readiness, but one that I would like to see just a lot more of in terms of frame and length. That's not a problem for the white-legged steer here. He is a taller-fronted, longer-sided steer, lots and lots of bone, moves okay around the ring, but in doing so, it's pretty coarse-jointed. I'd like to just smooth him up in that regard and certainly body him up, give him a little more feeding capacity and rib to complement that extra size. Nice set of lightweight steers to start us off this evening. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, your results of Class 1 steers. Fourth place, Marky Grider from the Wilson 4-H. Third place from the Warner 4-H, Legend Melton. Second place from the Forum FFA, Abigail Belcher. And your winner, Class 1 steers from the Haskell FFA, it's Hunter Cole. Class 2 steers are entering the show ring at this time. Class 2 steers entering the show ring at this time, 1,110 pounds to 1,220 pounds. 9 steers in Class 2. Class 3 steers make your way into the holding area. Exhibited here. Per the rule book, 25% of those steers will make the sale. That is 11. 44 steers entered. 25 will make the sale. 25% will make the sale. That is 11 steers to the sale here on a Friday night. Thank you to St. Francis Hospital, our title sponsor at this year's 2024 Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. also, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you all standing over here in our makeup area, per our assistant beef superintendent, would ask that you please clear out so we can get cattle in here. To the right of the camera in the warm-up area, if you look around and you can reach and touch a steer, you're way too close. I'd ask that you clear that area out so we can get steers in per our beef assistant superintendent, and thank you. Really nice set of steers, fun set of steers to get to think through and work through and evaluate here. The steer that I think just comes to the top for me real naturally is this solid black steer. He's as complete and as nicely balanced as anything in the class. I love him from a type and kind standpoint in that he's got size, he's got length of hip. I like his structure and I like his bone and I like his feet. He still yet has a good look to him as far as his balance, but there's some true honest width and shape in that calf. He's wide-chested, he's got a good top, he's really square and shapely back in that hip. He moves away with you with some width, and at this weight, I think he's adequate in terms of the way he handles for finish. Better than some, not as good at others, but he wears it well. He's starting to look the part of one. I think really a good package today. The second, third place steers are close for me, and in a perfect world, I'd kind of want to combine the best parts and pieces, but there's no doubt that the second place steer has much more the same look as our class-winning steer does. He's really striking from the side. That's really an up-headed, good-fronted kind of a steer that's got a real neat profile to him. I like his size. I like his length. I love all the bone that he has. He's really got a thick, muscular, big, bulging kind of a hip in him. Doesn't let me get my hands on him, but I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that he's still a little lean. He needs more body in the lower third, especially that rib cage, and I suspect he handles that way too. What makes that a close pair is that the steer in third does handle a little better, but in doing so is a lot rounder and gives up a lot more of this look. I like the kind, I like the look, I like the soundness, and I like the power. He's going to stay in second, but this is a better-bodied steer in third, no doubt. Better in his forerib, handles better, got more drop back in that rear rib and flank today. He too, like our first two steers, is a good bone, stout-legged kind of a steer, lots of shape, just lots of bulk and mass and width in this calf. If you think he deserves another spot in the class, I won't give you much argument, but the reason I've got him placed where I do today is because he also becomes a steer that carries a little more lower shoulder, but in particular, he's a short rump steer that's rounder, yet a little straight in the way that he moves for me off those rear legs today, and so in a close placing, I've got him in third. I really like the Hereford steer that comes out next. He's a moderate calf. He's not the longest-sided calf, but he's really neat to look at. He's a good moving, good traveling kind of a steer. I think he's real fresh and honest in his condition and in his finish, even down to his hair. I think he's fresh-haired. I think that steer's got a good ribeye in him. I think he's good up high in the top part of his steer. I don't think he's as powerful down low as the steers that went out in front of him, but as much as anything, there's not as much of him. In terms of his size and in terms of his length, he's just a little more compact. He's a little closer to the ground. But you want to talk about balance and look and eye appeal, boy, he's got all that in spades. And again, I like the leg, I like the structure, I like the movement. I just like
like to stretch him out just a little bit, maybe add a nickel more shape down low. This is a real thick-butted steer that comes out next. And again, if you want to swap them around, I won't give you much argument. But for me, he starts to get pretty round and compact. I like all that body. I like all that shape. But it comes in a pretty jammed-up package, especially when you look up there in that front end. And again, a little shorter and rounder in his hip. Lots of bone, lots of product in him, but not my kind from a type standpoint. A real clean-made steer comes out next. Really a clean neck, clean-chested, clean sheath type of steer, a hard-muscled kind of steer. Everywhere you look on him from about any angle, you're going to see shape and dimension of muscle. I think it works against him a little bit in this instance. He gets tighter and more rigid in his spine. He gets rounder in his hip. I love him from a pure shape standpoint, but I just like to loosen him up a lot from a structure and skeleton standpoint. Here's a real heavyweight coming around next. As good a bodied and really probably as easy feeding of a calf as we have in the ring. A steer that you don't have to get your hands on him to see. There's a lot of condition there. When you look at him behind his shoulder and up in his chest, got a lot of meat and a lot of product in him. I like him from those standpoints. I don't like him as well from a balance standpoint. Crestier in his neck, deeper in his shoulder and chest, and rounder in his rump. I'd like to just give that one some more balance. The young man steer that's going to wrap up the class is another moderate framed kind of a steer, not as tall in terms of his stature, but good body, good feeding, got some shape to him. Again, just gives up some things from a balance and a structure standpoint for me to get him any higher today. Big old good class of steers. Let's give these kids a good round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, your results of Class 2 steers. 8th place, Sage Myers of the Kenta FFA. 7th place from Hobart 4-H, Bella Young. 6th place from Sallisaw 4-H, James Schultz. 5th place from Eufaula 4-H, Dawson Wisenhunt. 4th place, McIntosh County 4-H, Giles Wisenhunt. 3rd place from the Coweta FFA, Ashton Connor. 2nd place from the Porham FFA, Waylon Dishman. And your winner of Class 2 steers from the Morris 4-H, Cameron Scott. I'd like to say a great big thank you to Connor State College, Dr. Ron Ramming, being on hand with us tonight. Always a great partnership with Connor State College. They've sent youth, some of the college kids, to participate and help around ringside all week long. It's a great partnership with Connor State College, and we appreciate our college students for being here and representing Connor State College in a good way.
I don't know that there's an absolutely dominant steer, in my opinion, in this class, one that just absolutely has to win. And simply put, I kind of wish we could put the best parts and pieces of our first and second into one to maybe get that dominant animal. But the fact remains, and I think there's no question that, boy, this is a show steer that wins it in terms of balance and eye appeal and style and just lots and lots of look. This one is really striking from a profile, puts a cool shadow down on the ground. He's got an awesome look. He's level in his design. He's long and square in his hip. He's awesome-legged. He moves well. He handles well. He is not the thickest butted steer in the class, but he's okay for me. I think there's enough for me to call him acceptable and to go ahead and use him, especially considering the quality I think he has in terms of his pattern and in terms of his kind, and especially in terms of his soundness in this class. There's no question the steer in second's thicker. He is a bigger-ended steer. He's got more shape, and he's got more dimension. Along with that extra muscle comes a lot of extra shoulder, and that's something that begins to bother me on this calf. Those shoulders do get pretty round, and they get pretty far out there, in my opinion. From there back, I like a lot of things about him. Just like our class winner, he handles relatively well. He's got a lot of bone. He handles himself okay on the move. He's a square, rumped kind of a steer than that steer that's going to follow him, but I would really, really, really like to change the design of that one up in the front third of his body. This steer in third handles tremendously good. Done an awesome job feeding on that one. He's big topped. You get your hands down the edge of his loin and he just fills you up with muscle. He's got a good hip in him. He looks the best on the stand, but when you watch this steer move, that rump really drops underneath him. Those legs get underneath him, and so from a skeleton and a structure standpoint, I'd like to see him a little better. He's also one I could stand to see a rib longer out here today. The next two steers that come, this is another close placing. This one's thicker. This is the bulkier, wider, thicker-ended steer between those two. He doesn't handle as good from when you get it from what he looks like on the outside to when you get in there and get your hands on him. He's got a lot of body. He's got a pretty full cod there. I thought he'd handle a little better than he did, and that surprised me. But still yet, he's a clean made steer. There's a lot of steer there in terms of his growth and length, and between the two, he is the thicker quartered, fuller butted steer, and so he gets the nod today. This steer handles a little better. That gets right in behind him. A little smoother finished kind of a calf. Done a really good job kind of getting him to the right end point there. That steer's got a good top in him, but he really disappoints me in terms of the way that hip wants to pinch from hooks to pins, and that muscle just rounds off the farther you go from his hooks back to the back side of his rump. He just needs more muscle and more squareness and more shape to suit me, and as well, he's one that wants to drop those pins quite a little bit. Again, to me, it's just kind of a muscle and power thing that separates these last two steers. Young man's got a real good top steer here. It's got a lot of bone. I like his growth, and I like his length of side. I'd sure like to see some body to kind of complement that. He's kind of a funny steer to look at with that real wavy hair, but even so, he's cut up higher in that twist and flank. I just like to balance him out just a little bit better today. And then the black steer that's going to complete the class, got some muscle, got some shape to him. There we go. We're back in the game. Got some muscle and shape to him. I just like to square him up in terms of his rump and see him travel out a little better from a structure standpoint today. Maybe when she gets out of here, we'll wait and give him a nice round of applause. Is that a deal?
There we go. Now we can give him a round of applause. Seventh place, Class 3, Bailey Boydston, Morris, 4H. Sixth place, Muskogee, 4H, Lane Lewis. Fifth place, Porum, FFA, Freedom Barnes. Fourth place from the Salisaw, 4H, Kendrick Schote. Third place from Morris, 4H, Bailey Boydston. Second place from Westfield, Briley Breckenridge. And your winner, Class 3 from Eufaula, Kristen Hansen. Class 4, entered the show ring at this time, Class 4.
adjusting class to work through, and kind of got to let the calves settle in a little bit here in the ring and get the jitters out of their system before you can really start to look at them and study them. But here's a real nice stout-made, real powerful kind of steer that's going to come to the top pretty easily. He's a real big top, big butted, big boned, just stout featured in every way kind of a calf. Width at both ends of his skeleton, tons and tons of shape, tons of arc and curvature and bulge everywhere that you look on him. If we're going to make that one better, I'd change him up in his front third. Steer's pretty bulky and round in that shoulder, a little short in that neck. I'd just like to refine him up in that front third. But today, he still maintains a lot of soundness relative to this class, and there's a whole lot of product from those shoulders back, so he's going to go ahead and win. The steer that I do like a little better in the design of his front third is this white steer that comes to us in second. He's a good-bodied, good feeding kind of a steer that handles nice when you get your hands on him. He's got a nice top. He's got a nice hip in him. He's not lacking for bone, but he's not as massive as the steer that wins it. But I just like him from a kind standpoint, from a balance and a smoothness and an eye appeal standpoint. He suits me better than the steer in third. He's got more squareness. He's flatter about that shoulder. I just like his pattern and design a scotch better. This is a real thick, massive calf that comes to us in third. He maybe resembles that class-winning steer a little bit in terms of just the bulk and the body and the density that he has, but like that class-winning steer, I'd like to just stretch him out a little bit in front, but that hip bothers me a little bit in him, where he wants to round off a little bit there from hooks to pins. Tailhead comes up out of him pretty high. I just like to stretch that rump out a little bit and set that tailhead down into him while we stretch that front end out. This is kind of the oddball steer out of the first four because he is a lot cleaner and a lot neater fronted than really any of those first three steers were that went out in front of him. He too has a lot of muscle and a lot of bone, but it lays into him in a pretty hard fashion, in my opinion. He gets a little harder over his loin and quite a bit rounder in that rump, and he's really kind of straight and stiff off of both ends there. I just like to loosen him up, but boy, on the stand, does he give you a good look. He handles real fresh. He's a little lean yet right now, but he handles real fresh. Be fun to see what he looks like a few weeks down the road. And then the steer that comes out next, just a solid meat and potatoes kind of steer. I like his height at the top of his shoulder. I like the strength and length across the middle of his back. Got a long square hip in him. But here's a steer that gives up a little bit, just maybe in terms of that overall balance. Wants to cut up a little bit more in that rear flank. Doesn't handle himself quite as nicely on the move, but a real practical steer. Just a real good kind of a steer. I like the muscle. I like the length. I like the growth. I think just gets out measured a little bit from a balance standpoint and maybe a soundness standpoint like the steer that went out in front of him does. This is an awfully good one right here in terms of his condition and in terms of his finish and in terms of his market readiness. He's got a good top in him. Not as big in terms of his hip shape and butt, but he does have some top in him. Real strong and bold in his forerib. Really clean about the front third of his body. Extremely level in his lines. Long and level in his hip. But he just struggles off of both ends at this stage of the game. You'd like to free him up and loosen him up. And again, I'd like to see him, relative to kind of that market readiness that he has, carry a little bit more muscle and thickness back in that rump. Here's a real stout featured calf that comes out next. It really packs a lot of bone. This steer's really stout structured. I like all the power he shows you in that leg. But there's one, again, I just like to stouten up in terms of his rump. A steer that I'd like to relax in his spine just a little bit, change that rump structure just a little bit as well. Then the big framed red steer that comes out next, really tall fronted. Congratulations. We can do that later if you want. Thank you. Really tall fronted, really long sided, really wide and square when you get behind him up high. I think he kind of runs out of gas down in the lower part of his hip. He's a little more cut up in his flank. Steer's pretty big and coarse about his joints, and I'd just like to refine him there as we make him move out a little better today. Congratulations on a good set of steers, kiddos. Let's give them a round of applause.
Your results of Class 4 steers, 8th place from the Bigs, FFA Destiny White. 7th place, Coweta 4-H, Bo Connor. 6th place, Wagner 4-H, Addie Kelly. 5th place, Forum FFA, Addison Dishman. Fourth place, McIntosh County 4-H, Shayla Dismukes. Third place from the Oaktaw FFA, Bailey Smith. Second place from the Coweta FFA, Jackson Edwards. And your winner, Class 4 steers from the Fort Gibson FFA, Parker Lockhart. Class 5 steers entering the showing at this time. Class 5 steers entering the showing at this time. 11 steers will make the sale. 11 steers.
We'll work our way through another real good class of these steers, and boy, here's a stout one to go ahead and win this. Real powerfully built kind of a steer that's just got a ton of width and shape and squareness throughout. He's wide at both ends of his skeleton. He's got tons of width and spread over that rib and loin. Comes back to a big, meaty, thick, massive hip. I like the bone. I like the body. I like the look. And put him in motion, and he's a steer that handles himself at the ground extremely well relative to the rest of this class. I think he's a real comfortable place to start. The steers in second and third, I think, are a closer pair. And at the end, after you walk him again, I like the way that the black and white steer travels just a little bit better. I think he's got a little bit closer to the same kind of look of eye appeal and quality and style of our class winner as compared to that steer in third. In particular, I like him in his shoulder better. I think he's better out in terms of his hip. You watch him go around the ring, and I think he does so more comfortably. Although he's not perfect himself, I still do think he has an advantage in terms of squareness and reach. He's a little firmer handling kind of a steer than is the white steer that follows him, but I think there's enough better about him in terms of his balance and his look and his soundness. He's adequate in his finish. I'm going to go ahead and keep him in second. But young man, you do have a softer, I think more mellow handling kind of a steer here in third. Get your hands on him, and he's really, really fresh in terms of his handle and in terms of his finish there. I like that about him from a market readiness standpoint, just like the first and second place steers. Lots of meat, lots of muscle. This one's got an especially big hind quarter on him, but it comes at the expense of some coarseness and roundness. I don't think he blends together from shoulder to rear quite as nicely, and especially in that hip where he gets a little rounder and he struggles a little bit more on the move. Here's just a big growth-oriented feedlot kind of a steer here that would make good money. He's gained well, he's converted well, he's got bone, he's got muscle, and he's got finish. Does he give you that rock star show steer look? Not really, but he's balanced nicely. He's still proportional. He's got product in the right places. We've just seen steers today with just a little more presence and look and eye appeal out here in the show ring, and that's kind of what he's lacking, but he doesn't give up anything in terms of muscle and finish and completeness. I think that's a real fine steer there. The young man's got one a lot like him that stands right behind him. He just doesn't handle quite as nicely. I really like this steer, maybe pattern-wise, just a little bit better than the red steer in front of him. I think he's got some look. I think he's got some eye appeal. He's sure tall-fronted. He's sure long-sided. He sure looks like one that'll gain and feed to me. He's got a good top in him, but he plays out a little bit more in his hip, doesn't handle those hind legs quite as nicely, and he's a steer that, again, is a little harder to the touch when you analyze him for finish. Girls have got a big old stout-legged one here that's coming around next. He's another one of these tall-made steers that's got a lot of frame and a lot of length of body, gigantic-legged kind of a steer. So much stoutness of bone and structure. Really, really a beautiful hair coat on him. Cool made up in his front end. Strong topped in his back there. Lots of length aside. But he's a steer that with that extra frame needs some extra finish and needs a lot more body to accommodate him for me to get him up much higher. And then the young man that completes the class does so with a deep-sided, thick-butted steer. It's got a lot of bulge and turn to his muscle, but that comes at the expense of some correctness and squareness. He's a little rounder in that rump, gets his hind legs under him, gives up quite a little bit more in terms of balance, but that'll be a good eating sucker right there. He's done a good job with the feed bucket. He handles really nicely, and again, a really, really thick-butted steer. Let's give these kids a nice round of applause. They put a lot of work into these things.
Your results of Class 5 steers. 7th place from the Coweta FFA, Braxton Barnes. 6th place from Eufaula, Kristen Hansen. 5th place from the Porham FFA, Waylon Dishman. 4th place from Wagner FFA, Ryan Shipman. 3rd place from the Warner 4-H legend, Melton. 2nd place from the Beggs FFA, Hannah Pembroke. And your winner out of Class 5 from the Oakdale 4-H, Lane Berry. Class 6 steers enter the show ring at this time. Class 6 enter the show ring at this time. Remember, Pierce Creative taking our photos in the ring And at the backdrop, thank you to Pierce Creative. Go to Facebook, look them up, Pierce Creative. I'd like to thank St. Francis Health Systems, our title sponsor. And if you look at these banners hanging on both sides of this show ring, those are the fine folks that support our youth and agriculture here this year's Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. Thank you to Warren Cat.
real competitive set of these steers here as we're getting into some weights where the cattle are starting to get finished and look finished and be ready. This is a fun set of steers that we're in now. Go ahead and spin this steer around and set them up one time. I like the steer quite well that we're using to win this from a power standpoint. He's got a lot of width and thickness and dimension. He's a steer that handles really well from a finish standpoint when you get your hands on him. And although he's not as chiseled out and as cool as that steer in second, he still balances up real nicely. And I think he's pretty exceptional in terms of his length, especially relative to his frame size and his height. There's a lot of rib, there's a lot of stretch, there's a lot of extension. He's got a good long hip, especially for one that's that wide and that is that thick. He's a sound moving steer that travels around the ring in good enough shape. Is he quite as high in his neck set and just cool in that front end and the way his front end goes into his body as a second place steer? He's not. And maybe if we're going to pick on him a little bit, that's where we'd make him better. But there's a lot of meat, there's a lot of width, there's a lot of just real world good and soundness in that steer, and that's where I'm going to start. Now, ain't no doubt, though, boy, this steer in second's killer good to look at. Beautiful from the profile, puts a gorgeous shadow on the ground, really presented well, excellent profile, love his outline, love the design of his front end, the levelness of lines, the strength and length that he has all the way down through that rump, a big leg, just picture perfect from the side. Get behind him and he's got plenty of muscle. He disappoints me a little bit when you do get your hands on him. I'd sure like to see him another 30 days down the road. I just think he gets better and better and better as he gets a little more market ready. Today he feels a little hard to me, and so we're going to leave him in second. This is a powerhouse kind of a steer in third. Probably as much true turn and shape to that quarter as anything in the entire class. He's got a big old top in him, really bulky and stout, lots of bone, and he handles it pretty well from a structure standpoint. He's a steer that of these top three, and I'm not trying to be too critical about this one, but he's a little shorter haired. You wonder if he maybe just went through losing some hair or something, but he just hits you as maybe a little bit stale. You know, especially when you look up and you look at that head and that neck. He's quite a bit plainer about that head, but a lot crestier, a lot thicker in that neck, quite a bit bulkier about that shoulder. So he's got a lot from there back, but he just hits me with a little staleness today as opposed to those fresher looking and fresher handling steers in first and second. But I do like him from a power and a bone and a soundness standpoint. I think he gets out and travels a little better than the steer that comes around next. This is a good steer, thickness, body, bone-wise. I like him. I just think of the top four, he's the one that gives up some things in terms of his balance and that overall completeness and that look. The way the shoulders and the top and the hip hook together and blend together, I just don't think is as crisp and as eye-appealing as we see in those top three steers. From time to time, he can kind of look okay on the move, and then there's times where I think the faster he walks, the choppier that he gets. And so, in my opinion, I just like to loosen him up a little bit today, but I do grant and recognize that he's a better handling steer than that one that goes out in front of him, and I like that about him. Another steer that handles real nicely coming around the corner here, big top, big-ended, big bone steer, but again, one that starts to get a little coarser and plainer in terms of his balance, a steer that gets a little tighter in his loin and stiffer in the way that he moves. But from a product and a market readiness standpoint, he's excellent. This is a close pair that completes the class. This roan mark steer is way sounder, and he handles better than the steer that goes out just below him. I like his bone. The young man gets him set up. He gives you a good look from the side in terms of having some symmetry and some balance to his lines. He's nice profiling. I think he's got eye appeal, but he's as flat muscled as any steer that we have in the class. And I just like to add to that look some beefiness and some bulk. But the steer's fed well. Young man's done a real good job keeping him sound, and he's very eye appealing out here today. This is a thicker steer, though, that's going to complete the class. Gigantic top, big old strap and butt end in him. Really handles nicely across that loin edge, but he's just too stiff and tight for me today. A steer that just gets up in the middle of his back and rounds off more in that rump. I just like to loosen him up and change him from a skeletal standpoint. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your results are Class 6 steers. 7th place from Wagner FFA, Josie Burke. 6th place from Akinta FFA, Sage Myers. Fifth place, Shakota FFA, Avery Williams. Fourth place from Kyoto FFA, Brett Butler. Third place from Fort Gibson FFA, Parker Lockhart. Second place from the Keys FFA, Cassie Kelly. And your winner of Class 6 steers from the Fort Gibson FFA, Holly Perry. Class 7 in the show ring. This will be our final class of steers. We'll start lining up our class winners.
Couple that touched 1,500 in this class, but the young man's black steer is going to win it, and he's going to do so just because he's got so much more quality and balance to him. Here's a real correct steer. He sounds structured. He's good in his skeleton. He's got an awesome look, not to mention he is a real powerhouse from a meat and muscle standpoint. Steer handles great. There's just a lot to like about that steer. Young lady's done a bang-up good job taking care of this gray-colored steer coming around next. Boy, he handles like a dream. She's got plenty of weight on him. There's a lot of meat and muscle, and we kind of laughed. This dude right here would fill up the freezer for the winter time, and it'd be good eating, I think. He's got a big old thick shapely quarter in him. Is he as good structured and as good moving and as good looking as the black steer? No, he's not. But boy, there's a lot of good things about that steer from a power standpoint, and the young girl's just done such a good job feeding him and getting him ready. Congratulations to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your results of Class 7. Second place, Kyoto FFA, Mystery Oldham. And your winner out of Class 7 from the Oakdale 4-H, it'll be Rylan McQuay. We'll get all of our class winners lined up. Ladies and gentlemen, as we bring in our class winners, I'd like to say a great big thank you to St. Francis Health Systems, our title sponsor at this year's Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here are your champions standing before you out of Class 1 from the Haskell FFA. How about a round of applause for Hunter Cole? Your Class 2 winner from the Morris 4-H. Put your hands together for Carmen Scott. Your Class 3 winner coming to you from Eufaula. How about it, Kristen Hansen? Your Class 4 winner from the Fort Gibson FFA. Let's hear it for Parker Lockhart. Your Class 5 winner from the Oak to Hall 4-H. How about it for Lane Berry? Your Class 6 winner from the Fort Gibson FFA, Miss Holly Perry. And your Class 7 winner from the Oak to Hall 4-H, Rylan McQuay. Congratulations to all of our finalists here, your class winners out of your 7 classes of steers. Also, like I say, a great big thank you to the young man standing in the middle. He was on the judging team at Connor State College and moved on to the Oklahoma State University. He now resides in Gordon, Nebraska. Krebs Angus, if you would put your hands together for Mr. Jake Scott.
Well, this is just such a treat and an honor for me, and it's late in the evening here, and it's so nice to see such a good crowd. You know, the steer show always generates a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, and rightfully so. But I just want to, again, as I did in the heifer show, express my gratitude for the opportunity to be here at the Muskogee Regional Livestock Show for year number 2. I had a blast doing it last year, and I've loved every minute of it again this year. So thank you for affording me that opportunity, and especially to share my opinion with something that every one of us takes so serious and so personal as the cattle that we show and that we raise and that we devote all these hours and hours and dollars to. It really means something to me. I hope you folks will indulge me at this time. This, in my opinion, as a guy that gets to judge a few shows, you see a lot of differences in how shows are managed and how shows are ran. And I would say you folks are blessed with a group of volunteers here that you could put up against anybody in the country. And we'd be remiss right now if we didn't ask these folks to maybe wave to you here and acknowledge them with some appreciation for the work that they do for your kids and for your family to put on something like this. You bet. It's pretty easy to get wrapped up in the competition of the moment and realize none of this happens without the behind-the-scene guys, and they have been rock stars. So gentlemen, ladies, thank you all very much. Now for the good stuff. Nice set of steers. I know you guys have been competing already at your local and county shows. You've got a big one coming up in Oklahoma City. No matter if you're in the ring or in the barns, I want to wish every one of you the best of luck. You're going to get to show another day under another judge. Your steers are going to be on feed a little longer, and you'll live to show another day if you didn't make it out here today. But I think you'd have to agree this is a pretty solid set that you're going to take out of your counties and districts to Oklahoma City if that's the game plan. These steers are thick and meaty. There's sure been some sound ones and some good-looking ones to choose from. You guys are such good feeders and fitters in this part of the world that, man, they are a blast to look at from an eye appeal and a presence standpoint. The steer that I'm going to use to win, I think wins it pretty dang easy. I think he's a powerhouse and a meat wagon in terms of top shape, in terms of squareness and muscle thickness. I think he's a steer that's got a lot of width at both ends of his skeleton. I love to watch him move. I love to get my hand on him and handle him, and I think he's really good looking from a balance and an eye appeal standpoint. I'll go get your champion. We'll pick a sell order, and once again, thank you folks very much. I'm truly honored.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Rylan McQuay from the Oak to Hall 4-H. He will be exhibiting your grand champion steer. Mystery Oldham will join us in the lineup. Congratulations to Holly Perry from the Fort Gibson FFA. She will be exhibiting a reserve grand champion market steer. We're going to bring in Cassie Kelly. Everybody stay where you're at. We're going to bring in Cassie Kelly for your bronze selection. Congratulations, Cassie Kelly will be your bronze exhibitor from the Keys FFA. We're going to bring in Parker Lockhart. 11 to the sale. We're going to bring in Parker Lockhart's third place out of Class 6 into the lineup. This will be the fourth selection for your sale order here in our market steer division. This will be fourth for our sale order of 11. And then Miss Gina will let us know how many alternates as we get closer. 5 alternates, she said. Lane Berry will be your fourth selection. From the Oakdale 4-H, Hannah Pembroke will join the fun. Second place out of Class 5. Hannah Pembroke will be second place out of Class 5 to join us. Your fifth selection. Out of Class 4, Parker Lockhart will be your fifth selection. We will also Jackson Edwards, second place out of Class 4. Jackson Edwards, second place out of Class 4. We will also take out Parker Lockhart's Class 6 steer. We will need in Brett Butler from Keota in Class 6. Jackson Edwards, second place in Class 4. Jackson Edwards, second place in Class 4. Brett Butler with fourth place out of Class 6. Jackson Edwards will be your sixth selection out of class number 4. Bailey Smith, third place out of class 4. Bailey Smith, third place out of class 4, will join us. Congratulations to Bailey Smith. She will be your 7th selection for sale order. Shayla Dismukes, 4th place in class 4. Shayla Dismukes, 4th place in class 4. Congratulations out of class 2. Carmen Scott will be your 8th selection for sale order. Waylon Dishman, 2nd place in class 2. Waylon Dishman, 2nd place in class 2. Coming in on our left, all the way up front to Miss Bailey in the white cap. Waylon. This will be your 9th selection of 11. This will be your 9th selection of 11. Congratulations to Brett Butler. He will be your 9th selection. Avery Williams out of class 6. Avery Williams out of class 6. Lineup is correct, Mr. Scott. Out of Class 5, Hannah Pembroke will be your 10th selection. Legend Melton, third place out of Class 5. Legend Melton, third place out of Class 5. Thank you, Mr. Melton, for being ready. Congratulations to Legend Melton. He will be your 11th selection. Ryan Shipman out of Class 5. Ryan Shipman out of Class 5. We will now select 5 alternates. Mr. Scott, we will now select 5 alternates here in our Market Steer Division. Thank you to St. Francis Hospital and sponsored by Warren Cat. Thank you, Mr. Ray King. We'll let him come inside. He's been back in the breezeway in the barn area lining everybody up. Thank you, Mr. King, for all you do for our youth here at the Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. We appreciate you, young man. Congratulations, Avery Williams out of Class 6. That will be your first alternate selected. Sage Myers coming in 6th place out of Class 6. Sage Myers. We will select 4 more alternates for a total of 5. Thank you, Miss Sage, for going to the backdrop and taking a photo. We are polite and correct again. Mr. Scott, this will be your 2nd alternate selected. Congratulations to Waylon Dishman. He will be your 2nd alternate selected. Ashton Connor, 3rd place, Class 2. Come on in and join the fun. Ashton Connor, 3rd place in Class 2. Congratulations to Ashton Connors. She will be your third alternate selected. Giles Wisenhunt, fourth place out of Class 2. Giles Wisenhunt, fourth place out of Class 2. McIntosh County 4-H, Giles Wisenhunt, fourth place out of Class 2. Giles Wisenhunt, fourth place out of Class 2. Thank you, Mr. King. Congratulations to Shayla Dishmukes. She will be your fourth alternate selected. Addison Dishman. Come in, please. Thank you, Miss Dishman. Congratulations to Kristen Hanson. She will be fifth and final alternate selected. Ladies and gentlemen, all steer exhibitors that need to take pictures at the backdrop. Other than that, you may be excused.
There tonight? Yeah. What you doing, Rod? A great day in the neighborhood. She said,
There's really only one explanation for businesses who continue to thrive for decades on.
holler.
Quality mobile phone service in Oklahoma is a necessity, not a preference. Bravado Wireless provides nationwide cell phone coverage for a fraction of the price of national carriers. That's why we've been able to service Oklahomans for almost 100 years and counting. Visit bravadowireless.com to find your local store and make the switch today.
Hey. Story about that later. Hear me, Tara?
There's really only one explanation for businesses who continue to thrive for decades on end, and that's a people-first mentality.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Our kids go to the same schools and play in the same leagues as yours. That's why so much of who we are consists of giving back to our communities, because your community is also our community. We are your family, your neighbors, and your leader in wireless mobility. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection. Whether your roads are dirt, paved, or if you're blazing new trails, the roads we travel lead to all of our most cherished places and people. Bravado Wireless strives to keep you connected wherever the roads may take you. We are the leader in wireless mobility and connection in Oklahoma and across the nation. We carry some of the market's top cell phone brands, fast, reliable home internet, and even greater customer service. Locally owned and operated right here in eastern Oklahoma. So whatever roads you travel, Bravado Wireless has them covered. From beginning to end. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
Welcome to Bravado Wireless, from right here in eastern Oklahoma, where we provide quality wireless service and nationwide coverage for just $40 a month per line. Where we go above and beyond for you. This is your local service provider. We are Bravado Wireless, and we believe in the power of connection.
We're here with your champion steer exhibitor, Mr. Rylan McQuay, at your 2024 Muskogee Regional Junior Livestock Show. 44 steers showed up tonight. You were just chosen as the champion. Mr. Rylan, tell me what went through your mind when you come in for the championship drive. You're going to have to talk now. We can't read your mind. Help us out now. Let me back up. Okay, don't worry about what went through your mind because there's a lot of things going through it right now, right? But you are no stranger to the championship drive. Matter of fact, you've been champion here before. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you remember what year you were champion?
Yeah.
What year?
2021.
2021, and now it's 2024, okay? So you've been showing for at least 5 years, is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Do you show other than just here to local, county, and regional?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
All right. We're going somewhere. We got 2 yow's in a row. I'm getting proud of you. All right. So when you walked in tonight for the championship drive, you come out of Class 7. You were the last class to come in during the regular show. There were 2 of you. You came back in for that championship drive. What was going through your mind as you were standing down there on the end before you selected a champion?
I was really nervous because my calf kept acting up.
You were really nervous. Why?
Because my calf wouldn't stand still and he wouldn't just cooperate.
He wouldn't cooperate, but when you came in your class, the judge really liked you. Did you think you had a shot of winning it all?
A little bit.
You did. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Ryan McQuay, your 2024 Grand Champion Market Steer Exhibitor. And we have our sponsor here, Mr. Grant Legg with Warren Cat. He'll be presenting a check and that trophy buckle to Mr. Rylan McQuay. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 Grand Champion Market Steer Exhibitor. Give him a great big round of applause, your champion on a Friday night.
Go out and cut it. You're good. Go out and cut it. And cut Rowdy's mic. Perfect.
This game and broadcast should not be reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed without the express written consent of Bravado Wireless and its management.